Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Wednesday, the second day of September 2020. Well, we have a 2 energy for today, but in a sense, given that it's a Wednesday, it's another type of balance that we're in. I always think of Wednesday as a representation of the scales, or really more of a 7 energy, because you're letting things come to a rest basically as you let the scales settle out and try to figure out what's going on. So if it's a 2, though, you're talking decisions, you're talking polarity and balance and all of that. So I don't know, find your balance today. Well, I've done some shuffling here already, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm going to take 3 cards. I'm going to do them randomly. I'll take the 13th one each time, and then we'll move on to a rune from the Elder Futhark. Although I just finished the younger Futhark runes. I finished them. Well, I need to look at them again. I don't know. Maybe I need to spray them a little more, but and I like to put a finish on them. So I don't think it's shiny enough yet. But we'll see. Maybe I'm done with them. But one of these days I'll probably start doing some things with the younger Futhark as I learn more about it. So maybe we'll do that here too. But anyway, after that we'll go ahead and create a geomancy rune, and we'll let you get on with. We'll look at all of that, and then we'll let you get on with your day. So let's go ahead and get started and take our first card. Well, again, this is the 3rd time now, the High Priestess. And it's a 2 energy, so it's perfect for today. Let's go ahead and take the next one. And if we need more than 3, we'll take them, but we'll just take a look at we'll take a look at these first. And see if we can get what we need from this. We have a 6 of Wands. So 6 of Wands would be like shared direction. Oh, we have Death. 13th card of the Major Arcana, Transition. I think what we're going to do, I think that what we'll do is we will have the 2 major cards, High Priestess and Death. Let's go ahead and have those inform this shared path forward that we're taking here. So let's talk about this first. The 6th energy, I mean, we're talking greater harmony, we're talking sharing, we're talking abundance, we're talking, but I always look at this as the higher self coming in. With the 2, you've got some polarity both within and without, and then with the 4, you're really getting some foundational structure and reevaluating all of that, and there's a lot of stuff involved with the 4. But I think, reflection is also another one. But then when you get to the 6s, you're starting to see a level of interaction with other people that seems to involve more higher self kinds of stuff that comes in. You start to recognize that maybe you have more than you need, and you're going to share with others. Sometimes that can be an oppressive type of a force, but here with this particular 6, we're looking at a guy who could be the king maybe, or a prince or something, come back from something, either battle, or he's not dressed in battle attire though. So it could just be some kind of a celebration after the fact maybe. Because you see the wreath both on his head and then attached to his staff that he's holding in his right hand. His horse is looking at us like, hey, look at us, and look where we've been. But you see the people behind them. They're walking in the same direction with their staffs held high. They're not fighting with one another. They're going in the same direction, basically. So it's like, think about, they're all in the same creative flow, if you want to think about it that way. Wands reflects the fire element, and so that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about creative use of the will. We're talking about, even birth can have something to do with the fire element, with fire coming in and being that vital force, that vital source energy, basically. But here we're walking forward on a new shared path together, maybe in this 22 year, this cosmic builder year. I think, and I said this just on the esoteric influences just a moment ago, before I finished with that, that I think that we are in it with all of the chaos that's going on. It's taking us in a different direction. If we're smart about it, if we decide to do that, it's taking us in a different direction, one that can elevate us in the long run, whether you're talking about healthcare related to the COVID virus, whether you're talking about how we come together during a pandemic, what works, what doesn't. We clearly see, since we're still dealing with this, people not wearing masks, that not being required when you're around other people, irrespective of where you are, because it doesn't matter whether you're inside or out, your breath's going to go, right? I don't know why anyone thinks that outside is safer than inside. It isn't. Your breath, everyone's breath is going, everybody's excited to see one another, everybody's chatting, everybody's doing what they do, but the breath is going everywhere. Why would anyone think it's not so outside? This is what it's like we can't seem to get a solid footing here to where everybody's on the same page with the same understanding, so that we can end the virus, or at least get it contained to the point that it's not doing what it's doing to people and affecting lives in such a profound way. So in order to then talk about that shared path, what do we have to do to get there? And one of the things we have to do, and the high priestess has been telling us this all week, is we must come into balance. We must battle. Well, it kind of is an internal battle, right? To balance shadow side of self with spirit. And that's how I interpret the two pillars there, the two pillars of Solomon that the high priestess is seated between. Now today we're coming into, well, tonight we'll be coming into the crone phase of the full moon, but right now it's still technically full. It's leaving its full stage, but it was full, I think, at 10:23 last night my time. So it's still technically full. But then we're going to move into the and you can see the triple aspects of the moon reflected in her crown on her head. Again, we see the pomegranates behind her, and if you could see them, they would be arranged in the Kabbalistic tree of life. Because as we know from the last 2 days, the high priestess, along with the magician, aligns with the fool to bring the fool into form. But it's not until they get past all of that, the energy of manifestation, that we then reach the Empress, who then gives birth to the world. So that's what you're kind of looking at. You're looking at source energy with the high priestess that's telling us we have to resolve this balance issue. And I went ahead and I noticed on one of the readings, it would have been Mondays, I heard this tap 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 tap. Well, it was when I was drawing this. Well, not as good as this, but when I was drawing something that looked like this, to talk about this whole, that the cross that's on the front of her gown there. We're not talking a religious cross, but it was, but anyway, I'll finish that sentence. I'll finish what I was saying. But the tap 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 was me drawing it, so I went ahead and I drew it out, so I didn't do that anymore, because this microphone is, I guess, is super sensitive, and it's picking up everything. So anyway, this is what we're looking at when we look at that cross. We're looking at the flow of spirit into form. This horizontal line would be the abyss where the fool and the magician and the high priestess operate. It's still in that spirit realm, basically, where they're really operating. I mean, she's about intuition. She's about, the divine presence, the divine feminine, mystery, understanding, all of that. And flow, but realistically, we're talking the energy of manifestation here. And so we want to manifest in balance. Ideally, we should be operating right here where that X is, right below the abyss, if we were truly aware of who we are as spirit, and if we were manifesting that force in our life every single moment of every single day. But instead, the horizontal line shifts to one of masculine and feminine polarity, or projective or receptive presence or vibration. You can think of that in terms of push aura and enveloping aura. Enveloping would be drawing in, and that's traditionally thought to be feminine. You can also look at this as positive and negative, if you want to think about it in terms of electrons and things like that, the true energy side of it. But basically, in this time of ascension and awareness and all of that, What we really need to be doing is operating on this line of polarity as opposed to this one. Okay? So let me put this back up here. So that's enough, I guess, of the High Priestess, since we've been talking about it all week long. Now, death, moving on to death, and how that's going to influence our shared path forward. We have to let the transition and the transformation take hold. It's not an evil card. It's simply, if you reduce the 13 down to 4, I leave it like at 13 because it's my number, but I don't know. I view it as the Master Witch number, but anyhow, that's just me. But we see death riding in, the skeletal death in his battle attire, because transformation's not easy, right? we see the king dead on the ground. He's over here. We see the queen and the child there in various stages of grief. We see the Hierophant over here, the priest, trying to bless the whole situation. But over here, we see 2 pillars, like we do here. All right? It's a recurrent theme, either with pillars or some kind of, equal sides of something, whether it's trees or mountaintops or what have you. And here we have 2 pillars, two towers, basically. You can kind of see behind that, in the shadow, you can see where the kingdom is. And the sun is rising on all of that. The sun is rising on our lives. And it's a new day. Now, whether you want to talk about reincarnation, whether you want to talk about it from that standpoint, you can. But I think in terms of the shared path forward, I think we're really talking about transformation of perception and how we see ourselves and how we see ourselves in one another. Because realistically, if all of this is the creator, if we believe the creator is all that is, which I do, then everything you see is a manifestation of the creator's thought process. And then from there, we focus into form to learn more and to give more back to that whole understanding. And so you're looking at we're looking always at 2 sides of the same coin whenever we think about it. When we think dark and light, that's 2 sides of the same coin. So balance and imbalance. And the other thing, and really what this has to do with, is if we are all the creator manifested into form, a piece of that energy manifested into form, then we are all part of that. And all we are just different reflections of it. And so we understand then that when we see the other, it's not the other, it's the other side of self. And that's the biggest transformation we need to make now in order to move through this 22 energy into something better next year, where we can actually manifest a change in our lives that is so profound. I mean, can you imagine being on a shared path together? Can you imagine had we been on that at the beginning of this year when the pandemic began? Can you imagine if our mindset was there instead of where it is now? Can you imagine where we would be right now? Instead, we're doing this. And most of that is being fostered by someone else who needs us to be this. The problem is that's a level of darkness that tries to drag the light down into its own cesspool. And that's not where we want to be. And during this time of ascension, we want to raise that frequency. We want to become the spirit that we are. We want to be aware of the spirit that we are. And then take that and use that transformative energy to bring everybody together in shared purpose. And that's really what I think that this is saying. You know, you look at if you reduce the 13 to 4 and then add that to 2, you've got a 6 energy, which then defines the 6 card, the 6 of wands, doesn't it? And then 6 and 6 is 12, which reduces to 3, and we have mind, body, spirit balance with one another, though. Here we have I was, and as above, so below, Rune. I forget which number is that. Is that 14? No, 14 is per throw. 13. Oh, well, yeah. Represents the death card, doesn't it? looks a little better there. These are my Rowan runes. I love them. They're my, not, well, the younger Futhark I just did, that's my newest set of runes, but this is the one right before it. But again, here we're talking about flow of spirit into form. So that's really what it just reinforces, this whole notion of coming into alignment and balance with one another, and seeing the effect that that has. The effect is so positive. You know, we come into harmony with one another instead of the ridiculous stuff we're seeing now. Oh, well, we have Fortuna Major as opposed to Fortuna Minor. And let me find it rather than drawing it all out. There's Minor. Oh, here's Major. We have Fortuna Major. This is about success and wealth and profit and gain. So greater fortune, basically, as opposed to Fortuna Minor, which is minor fortune. But our greatest fortune, really, is found in the shared purpose with others, isn't it? In the shared direction with others. I don't know. Again, I think that this is all dovetailing and aligning in a way that has been going on now for months. And I think that if we just pay attention, I think that we can find our way out of this morass that we're in and that we've been in for so long, you know. But it's a shared path together. It's not one that we can take where we're only concerned about our own self, you know, our own personal sovereignty. The issues that we face, we have to face them together, or we don't solve them. You know, nothing ever gets solved. And I think that it's very, very clear, particularly with the issues on social justice and policing in this country, that we have to do something. We have to do something to save people, because that's where I think we're at now. We can't do that if we're at each other's throats. We have to come together in shared purpose and shared direction. So go with that today, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks for coming by. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and check out my blog over at Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com. But all my videos go up on the left side panel there toward the top of the blog, so check for them there. And then the esoteric influences will go up today. The magic forecast will go up for today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask inside or out whenever you're around people. And blessed be.